what's up? We black. I'm still black. It's your main man, Markell. Now I'm playing. This is still the wife takeover.
Yes. Welcome to my channel. I'm Sonakia. Thank you guys for tuning in. We have a featured guest on my channel, my Hubs.
Featured guest.
Yes, you're my guest. You're my first guest, actually. Actually, no, my mother was my first guest. You're my second guest on my channel. So welcome. Say hello to all the homegirls out there.
What's up, y'all? Even though she was the first guest on my show, now I'm not a Christian podcast, but it's all right. I put her first, she put me second.
Let's not.
But that's a great way to segue into what we're talking about.
Let's talk about this communication.
The lack of... It's just crazy how good men get treated.
Oh my God. Tell people what we're talking about.
We're talking about communication.
We're talking about talking.
We're talking about talking, man. I say one of the most important things, obviously, in any relationship dynamic, especially marriage, things are a lot easier when you're just dating. Yes. Because you can just be like, all right.
Let's talk about it.
I'm just going to go.
Dive right in.
Do my thing over here. Because you, it's either this or you get. You know what I'm saying?
He's kidding, by the way.
Yeah, nah.
He's so kidding.
Yeah, nah.
Don't report us to the YouTube police.
But also, too, I think it's a way to keep the peace. You know what I'm saying? Like, I come from an abrasive background. She'd tell you, my people, we don't really hold our tongue. I mean, we've matured in that, but at the same time, we don't, we don't really let stuff ride. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
And my background is more of, it can be a little passive, not passive aggressive, but just like.
It's definitely passive.
If there was, okay, now I didn't come for your people now.
I'm not coming. I'm not coming.
Let me say
again, you're right. This is your show. We keep it real on my show. I'm sorry.
So in the household that I grew up in, it was a little bit more like passive. If somebody had a problem, you didn't exactly tackle it head on every single time. We kind of, like if I had an issue, I just kind of went to my space. I went to my room and I just kind of dealt with it on my own, or I would talk to my mother about it. My father and I maybe would joke about it. Like stuff didn't really get necessarily handled, but we would express ourselves, but not necessarily with the intention of like coming up with a solution, letting the person know directly that you maybe were beefing with, that y'all had beef, if that makes sense.
We was more so like, if we got a problem, we talking about it right now. I don't care what's going on. Turn the TV off. My dad, for real, like,
yeah, see,
he unplugged this stuff. Whatever, like, we wasn't on none of that. So how that relates to communication is,
we're married.
Sometimes, yeah. Well, when we first got together, I noticed I was like that. If we had an issue when we was in the mall, we're going to stop in this mall and we're going to talk about it. Wherever we at, we're going to have this conversation. Because me, I'm like, if I don't, I'm not going to forget about it till it's like, just because like, oh, were we different? It's like, oh, we laughing, so it's cool. Now it's like, no, it's not cool. That thing you said 2 hours ago, we got to address that because I ain't going to move past it. Yeah. And I don't know how to move past it just yet in my life.
And I was the opposite. So it was like, this ain't the time or the place to be having this conversation. We're out in public. You're not about to embarrass me. However, when we get back in the crib and it's just the two of us, I'm going to tell you about yourself, your mother, your sister, everybody. I love my in-laws, by the way. But like, that's how I would come at him. It was like, now I'm ready to talk about it and I'm going to hit below the belt because I really don't know how to fully express. I mean, this is hindsight now, but I really don't know how to express like what I'm feeling, or maybe I feel attacked because you coming at me trying to tell me about myself. So let me go ahead and just give you that same energy that you giving me.
I don't be giving her negative energy. I just give her assertive energy. Like, yo.
Oh, sir.
I give her assertive energy, and I'm quiet because I know if I say something, again, because we different, she'll disrespect me like in public, and then be like, now ain't the time to talk about it. I'm like, what? You just did XYZ. You want me to just tuck my tail for 3-4 hours till you feel like talking about? By that time, the only way that works for me is by that time I'm shut down completely. It's like,
I'm still growing, guys.
You say whatever you want. I'm just gonna listen and not say nothing back. because I done had to sit with this, and the only way I could not say nothing is to just say forget about it. And I feel like how I felt got just stepped all over. So it's like, you don't care, I don't care. But I don't like doing that. That's the point. Like, you got to communicate.
Yeah.
For me, when I'm not communicating, it's because I'm trying not to. Like, I refuse to go to a certain low, and if I go there, she'll tell you, my first thing is like, we done took it too far. We need to just get a divorce or something, because we don't know how to respect each other.
He done drew up divorce papers or looked up how to get a divorce started.
Well, because
I don't even know how many times I've mentally packed my bags, and once we have the kids, packed.
She's saying like I'd be doing that all the time.
You done left me a couple times mentally. I've left you a couple times mentally. So that was a very great intro, like raw, just out the gate, we swinging.
My people used to that.
Yeah. Oh my God. So,
no.
So say all that to say, like we did in the last podcast, homegirls, for you guys, this will be your first time tuning into like what we do, because I haven't posted any videos of this, but we're doing this Bible plan. This particular day was about communication. So of course it talks about just like different reasons why married couples specifically, don't always have the best form of communication. One of them being upbringing, of course. It, of course, ties the Bible in, and just like how these biblical principles all throughout the Bible can help us with communication, why effective communication is so important, why it's important to learn how your partner communicates. And so we, at the end of each day, try to come up with these questions to ask each other. And so that's what we're going to do today. Insert theme music.
All right, so
let's get into these questions. What you got?
This was the first one I had. What is it for you personally that hinders your attempt to communicate effectively?
I think when it comes to us specifically, it's because I just don't want to fight. I get hesitant, especially when it's something that is like a pain point for us, or we're like not in the best space at the moment. I retreat and sometimes choose not to communicate because I'm just like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, we're just going to end up fighting. We're not going to see eye to eye. We don't communicate the same. He getting on my nerves. I'm getting on his nerves. Like, so I'm just, there's no point.
So it's fear.
Yeah, fear, hesitation. I want to be able to say what I feel or what I've observed or whatever the case may be. But I feel like at the end of it, we're just going to end up fighting, or somebody's going to get in their feelings, and it's not going to go anywhere.
For me, I pretty much, when I say that hinders my attempt to communicate, I'm thinking of times that I want to say something, but I don't. And the reason that I don't, what hinders me from doing that, because I know how to communicate effectively. The only time when I don't, I just, it's because for me, it's a lack of faith. What makes me most upset is when I feel like I'm not being heard. And I'm the type of person that I'm going to look at your actions. And we had this discussion before. You said you're the type of person, you'll more so trust somebody what they tell you versus what they say. I more so will trust what you do, what I see you doing consistently versus what you say. So if I have a pain point and I say it to you, and you just be like, oh, I'm sorry, and you do it again, and you're like, oh, I'm sorry, and you do it again, I'm going to feel like, yo, you're not listening to me when I talk to you, so why am I going to keep talking to you about that thing? Because I don't like repeating myself. And the more I do, the more bad type of thoughts and feelings I'm going to have towards you. And I don't want to have those thoughts. So it's like, if I don't say nothing about it, then later I'm going to give her a pass in my mind, like, well, she ain't really know because I ain't tell her, so that's all right. But if I tell you, I'm expecting you to make it important. In the same way, like, you know, something with our daughter, she on it. Like, never make that mistake again. It's like, for them, the value is way up here. And it's shown in her actions. And, you know, don't nobody got to remind you or nothing like that. So it's like, if I say something and I don't get that same thing, I'm like, bro.
So it's the value feeling undervalued, basically. Yeah.
But that's why prayer is so important, because prayer it settles you, even if nothing changes in the situation. So prayer will say, okay, let me address myself, like, although I feel like I'm being undervalued, I'm probably not. She just hasn't took it upon herself to slow down enough to pay attention to me too.
Mm-hmm.
And that happens sometime in life. It doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it easy to deal with, but it does happen. And then again, she's not the standard. So I'm always thinking, it's like, okay, why you finna get mad at her? How many times has God told you to do something and you definitely undervalue him? Because that's my standard. God is my standard. Jesus is my standard. And as a Christian, you got to be that way. So if I'm always measuring myself to God, then it's like, honestly, I don't got no reason to be mad because, I mean, keeping a buck, we always undervaluing him. And that's why the Bible say you're supposed to always forgive because I forgave you. I'm forgiving right now. So that's why I be trying not to do that. But it doesn't make it easy.
Prayer definitely, for me, helps me to slow down, like you said. It's like if I attack a situation head on, I think somewhere in the plan it said that some people think before they speak and some people speak without thinking.
Yeah.
I can definitely be the speak without thinking person. Like I'm going just off the cuff, just based off how I feel in that moment. And, if it's a heated moment where the energy is a little tight, it's not going to be good. So that's why sometimes, and I know it probably can come off as rude or like, whatever, but sometimes I'll literally just like, you'll say something and I'll just stare at you and then just walk away. But it's because I know that anything I say right now is not going to be constructive. It's not going to be helpful. It's probably going to be below the belt because I'm acting out of feeling. I'm speaking out of like emotion and feeling and stuff like that. And so in those moments, I'm usually just having like a quick prayer with God, like, Lord, please hold my tongue and help me.
Keeping it across.
To not, yes.
Oh, I'll put it up there.
Yeah.
No. But anyway, the next question here says, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being maximum effort, how much effort do you put into making sure your nonverbal communication matches your verbal communication? That's a long-winded question. Essentially is, how much effort do you put in making sure what you do matches what you say?
I'm going to be honest with you. I probably put like 0 because, like I said, I think I've made it pretty clear throughout this. We've been talking for 15 minutes now that I tend to act off of emotion. And so when I'm in that moment where it's just pure emotion, you've pissed me off. Like, I'm mad now. I'm not thinking about nonverbal behaviors and actions and things like that. Now, when I'm not in the heat of the moment, I try to be very aware of rolling my eyes. Am I giving you my full attention when you're talking, even though I have 1,000 things I may be thinking about? Does my body language say I'm tuned into what you're saying? Are my actions showing you that I heard you in the last conversation that we had where you expressed XYZ? Am I showing you through my actions that I heard you and I'm, putting whatever it is that the request was or, whatever the conversation was, I'm putting those things into action. But in the heat of the moment, not so much. When everything is beautiful, yes, I'm probably a 10. Okay, a 7.
I wasn't gonna say
Let me be honest, a 7.
And that's crazy because it's like, when everything's fine, that's not real. You know what I'm saying? Like,
how often is everything fine?
More often than things are bad, though.
Yes,
gotta give yourself credit. Gotta give us credit.
I agree.
And in most cases,
but when it's not fine,
it ain't fine for real. But that's what I'm saying. Most of the time, couples though, it's like you don't notice it because again, time flies when you're having fun. When everything is beautiful, everything's clicking. Then you don't really think about like, yo, it's been 3 months of no arguments. But when that one come, it like is coming from the pits of hell. But these things got to come because, again, that's why I say when we pray like God, strengthen our marriage, God doesn't come and like make things beautiful. He gives you reasons to work. You know what I'm saying? Like, And that doesn't mean change your prayer. That means understand that in the heat of the moment.
Yeah.
So it's like, because that's when that stuff matters. Because if you think about it, you can tell me that I'm doing something like, Markell, I need you to do more of this. The first thing I'm going to think about is all the 1,000 times I've done that and you didn't pay attention to it.
Yeah.
But you don't count the 1,000. You count the times when it mattered, like in heated moments. Because that's just life. You know what I'm saying? You're not really thinking about the everyday. And that's the same way we do God, right? He's so consistent in his blessing us. We don't even thank him for like, oh God, thank you that I'm able to blink. Thank you that I'm able to use the bathroom and it don't hurt. It's people, for real.
No, I know.
Like,
it's just most people, you hear them say, thank you that I have the use and activity of my limbs.
But they don't really know what that means, bruh.
Not use the bathroom.
I'm just saying, like, bruh, that's like torture. Maybe that's just how my mind thinks, because it's like, what happens when I gotta go to the bathroom?
Really giving this some thought.
For real.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you 100%.
It's people who need help moving around and stuff. Like, bro, that's no joke. And we don't notice it until like when you had that cast on your foot. It's like you don't know how just one functioning pinky toe.
Or after having the girls, how I needed help just to get up, healing from a C-section. I couldn't even help myself to the bathroom. Now that I think about it, it's like, yeah, I could go once I got in there.
But the point is like God is so consistent, we forget. Because we only think of him, and this is where the maturity needs to come in. We only think of God in an emergency.
Yeah.
But it's like you done forgot that like all them 8 months where life was beautiful and consistent and the light stayed on and all this, you hit a situation one time and it's all the faith go out the window. It's like it's as if you don't know God at all. You may disagree with this. I'm more so nonverbal because I don't want to talk about stuff. I talk about it because I have to.
Right. I kind of force you to.
And then and you notice when I'm mad, how you know that I'm mad? It's because I go silent. Mm-hmm. Like I say no words. I shut down. Because that's how I am naturally. I'm trying to break that habit so I do talk. Because I'm more so nonverbal. It's like, yo, I mean, I don't want to. I was about to make say an example.
I mean, go ahead. Like.
Nah.
We grown on here. What was it about sex?
Come on, bro. That's not the only thing on my mind.
It's not.
The point is, I didn't want to say that on the thing. So, bro, stop looking at me like, and not even in non-sexual moments. But if you want to talk about that, we definitely can, because it just makes my point even more. My non-verbal will let you know, like, yo, what's up? If I actually say it, it's because you're not picking up what I'm putting down. And I didn't put it down like 8 times. And you just kept walking by. You know what I'm saying? So I'll have to say it. But that's not me. Really, I'm just going to use my body language. In the same way, like when I'm mad, you typically know. I can feel you be looking at me. Like, I can feel the heat from your eyes scanning me. Trying to see like, all right, what day is it today? Like, we was just kind of beefing. Is he still mad? My nonverbal is super strong. And it's like, because I don't want to talk about stuff. And it's like, I feel like when I start talking about it, it's probably gotten like so far. Or maybe I'm super sensitive, but it's like, if I say it and it's not received, I'm just going to go back in retreat mode. Yeah. Because people be taking advantage of me. That's what it is. Because I'm generally a nice guy to people I'm cool with. Like, I'm solid. And people run over you. They don't do you right. They don't got your best interest in mind. So you got to wise up.
All right.
In Jesus' name.
What is the best way to communicate with you when I'm upset with you or vice versa? So if we're beefing, it's been a little tense. What's just the best way for me to communicate with you? Sex.
Oh my God, bro.
I came in the room wearing some Fenty. Would that solve the problem?
In most cases, probably, yeah. But you're never gonna, you don't do that. That's not who you are. Let's not do that. Because it's not like you finna just, well, I won't say that. That was a very explicit statement. No cap, like, that will work for any man, though. It ain't just, you know, for any man, if he mad and you just drop his shorts, then
problem solved.
Like, that actually probably will work. But more so to communicate with me, that's tough. Because I ain't gonna lie to these people. I know I'm a tough one when I'm upset. And my barrier be up. I'm talking about you got to be Thor to get through that. Usually when I'm upset, you just better, it's like, it's safer to just leave me alone altogether. Because you know that I'll typically come and open back up to you when I feel like it's safe. But when I'm upset, I could easily in this moment say, yeah, you just got to do it. But it has been moments where you've done everything right. But it's like, I'm like, nah, bruh. Nah, that's cap.
So it sounds like if it's gotten to that point where you're upset, to just give you space.
Yeah,
or come in with the savage Fenty.
Yeah. And it goes back to the first question, because how I am, I'm a Cancer. I don't want to put it on the zodiac, but I'm very in touch with my emotions. I hear people say Cancer are emotional. And even if we are, what that means is, for one, it doesn't mean we're super sensitive. What it means is we're aware of those emotions. So it's like, I know when I'm frustrated. What the thing is when I express that, if it don't make sense to you and you shrug it off, you've probably, if I'm like escalated, then it's probably because you've done that so many times without even, and that's natural, right? Like, without even noticing it in so many different ways, maybe nonverbal. And you know that we have conversations, just like, you'll tell me like, okay, Wednesday we can do what you want to do. And then Wednesday come, I don't remind you that you told me that. I just say, hey, let's do this. And you like, I don't feel like doing that. Mentally, I'm like, bruh, so why did we have that long discussion about how my stuff matters when it really don't? That's the stuff that go in my head. So by the time I say something and I'm up here, anything you say to me, I'm going to slap it down. Just let me be quiet. And because really what I'm doing is I'm praying. And I'm saying, like, I told you that the other day that I was like, that time I walked Coop, I was like, I literally went downstairs and it took everything inside of me. You know, I said, God, you're right. My way is wrong. Your way is right. And you said I'm supposed to do X, Y, Z. And I don't want to do that. Now you got to fix me now. Because if I go back up in this house.
Clean heart.
Yeah, for real. Because if I go in this house with the same attitude, and you know, everybody up in here gonna have a bad day. I will make sure of it, bruh. It's either you're gonna have to be a savage or
give you some space.
Just give me some space, because God is still working on me in that regard.
The best way to communicate with me when we're beefing is to let me be heard. And for the love of God, do not tell me how I feel. You want to set me off? You specifically want to set me off? Don't tell me how I feel. I tend to over-explain. If I've pissed you off specifically, I'm going to explain my thought process that led me to do the things that I did. My intentions are always good. I'm never trying to hurt you. But of course, it doesn't always pan out that way. And that's fine. I understand that. But if I go to explain to you why I did the things that I did, what got us here, let me explain. You feel like there are excuses. You feel like I'm being a hypocrite. All those things. We've dealt with this for the last 5-6 years that we've been together. I get that. But let me explain. If I'm telling you how I feel or whatever it is from my point of view, don't hit me with the, well, you think and you did this because, like, that's not helping. That's poking the bear. That's not helping. So yeah, I guess I'm the opposite in that regard. Whereas you like to be left alone, I like to try to give you my point of view on my actions, and then of course allow you to do the same. Like, I'm only gonna then open up the floor for you to express yourself. But I also sometimes need to be left alone, and that's where the prayer comes in. That's where I just like go and find something that's gonna bring me out of this not so great space that I'm in. It's usually prayer though. Like 9 times out of 10, if I'm that upset to the point where I don't feel like talking, because I usually do feel like talking, but if I'm at that point, I'm usually just going to go to prayer because no one else can save this situation but God.
But see, that's like, that's like saying like you just want the last word. And so it's like you get it off your chest and then let's everybody be quiet.
No, I said that you can express yourself as well. See, the thing with us is I'll try to explain my actions, but you look at that as excuses. And I think that's one of the ways that we bump heads.
It's because, like I just said, it's like you said, you don't notice is that your nonverbal was doing something counter to what you're saying. So when you're trying to explain that to me, and that's why I say in the heated moment, it's best to leave me alone, because when you're trying to explain that to me in a heated moment, I'm only going to remember all the times your actions was opposite of what you just now told me. Mm-hmm. So it feels like you're just saying that to get it off your chest. And when I'm heated, I'm just going to call you out on that. Mm-hmm. Be like, well, I do take you seriously. And then in my head, I'm like, we talked about this yesterday, literally yesterday, and you just did the same thing. How is that taking me seriously? In a heated moment, that's how I'm going to see it. Versus after like 3 days, maybe, I'm going to be like, even if I still feel that way, I can get over it.
Yeah.
But not in a heated moment. I'm going to be like, man, that's cap. Get out of here.
I think it's very hard to keep a level head and to be rational.
With your spouse.
Nah, because I don't typically beef with my friends, but
nah, it's easier
once
with your...
or twice.
It's easier,
yes, it
bruh.
is easier.
It's easier,
It's way
bruh.
easier to get into an argument and beef and take stuff out on your spouse. Of course, you're going to come after the person that's the closest to you, whether that's your mother, your brother, your spouse, whoever it is that's the closest to you, they're going to get it. And if it's, if you're married, that's typically going to be your spouse. So yeah, definitely.
And really, when they say communication is key, I would look at that like communication with God is key. Mm-hmm. Because ain't no other way, bruh. Mm-hmm. And that's what I said on the pod. Like, marriage is a God-designed, ordained, covenant relationship. And if you try to make something God created for him to give him glory, if you try to make that work without doing it his way, it won't work.
On top of that, it's an everyday, all day
every
thing.
Single day.
Like,
every single moment of every day.
Seriously, like, we've been together for almost 6 years now. We've been married for almost 1.5 years. We have kids. A lot has happened over the last 6 years. We've been working on communication since the beginning. Like, and we're not experts at it by any means, because there's always something to communicate
something
about.
On my shirt.
Yeah, There's always something to communicate about. Always. And
then you grow, you change, you know, things that used to be important don't become important. You change how you feel about stuff.
And I think I would be worried if we weren't trying to communicate. Like, even though it doesn't always pan out the way that we want it to, we sometimes end up just walking away from the situation feeling more exhausted and like we got absolutely nowhere. But I would be concerned if we weren't working on communication.
I walk away from conversations like, I'm glad we talked about that. So to me, it's like, I know both of us did our parts with God when we walk away from that and we feel like, I'm glad we talked about that. Because I do have those moments too. Yeah. It's like, that's what I've been trying to say. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But then it's sometimes, like you said, it's like, when it's just like we both said our parts and it feel like we was both just trying to say our parts, that's where I'll be like, nah, I know God wasn't in that, so let me go take another draw. So communication is key, not with your spouse, but with God, because if you can do that right, you can communicate with your spouse. And that's a Fendi fact. That's that. I'm still black. We out!
Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. Let us know if you want us to do this again. We've been doing it on Hubby's podcast, I'm Not a Christian. Also follow him on Instagram. What up, Kels?
What up _Kels? I figured it out.
You figured it out. Okay.
It's what up
_ Kels. And
WATUP _ KELLZ. That's me.
And what are
not that's me. That's not a part of it. But I got bars. I got a project coming soon too. But go ahead.
Little simple
plug. I wasn't gonna go.
Shameless plug.
I wasn't gonna. I could
what
really freestyle.
What are you on TikTok?
It's What Up Kels.
Same with the underscore and everything?
Yep, everything the same. What Up Kels.
All right.
WATUP _ KELLZ.
And y'all know that this is my page. I'm So Nakia. You can also follow me on Instagram. I'm _ Nakia. And yeah, let us know what you think about this. This is our first time doing something together on the YouTube page for the homegirls and the homeboys out there. Let us know if you want to see this, something similar again. We've got a lot to talk about. We're still newlyweds, but we are open to sharing certain parts of our marriage with the world. We are very transparent, very open people. So yeah, let us know what you think, and we'll catch y'all next time.